Yeah. I'm Rashmi. I'm with 8451. I work on enabling data and science at 8451. I'm a technology architect.
And I am Carrie Holton. I am a senior solution architect with Databricks, and I've been working with 8451 for a couple of years now. And just to go over the agenda a little bit. So I know you all came here to listen to Rashmi speak. So I'm just going to introduce kind of the agenda, and then I will come back at the end and talk about where they're going with Unity Catalog, some of the new functionality that's coming out and what they're going to be doing with it, and how we as Databricks will be working alongside of them. I also know we are standing between all of you and drinks and food. So we will end this on time, no worries. But Rashmi's going to start. He's going to talk about their journey, right? What was their journey with Unity Catalog? It wasn't simply, oh, turn Unity Catalog on and go, especially at 8451. This is one of our largest retail customers. They have a very large brownfield environment. He'll talk about that and just some of the challenges that they went through with that and their journey to Unity Catalog. He'll also talk about their concept of simplify to unify, right? There's so much with Unity Catalog, and there are so many groups that they work with that simplification really comes into play. And then he will talk about how they basically structured Unity Catalog to deliver the scale and the speed that they need for the business. And then he'll talk about the data product mindset. So you hear a lot of organizations talking about data product now. 8451 has really embraced that. And Rashmi's going to talk about how they are embracing it and how Unity Catalog is helping them to deliver on that data product mindset.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. I'll just first quickly just go over what is 8451. For many who might not know, you know Kroger. We are a subsidiary of Kroger. We provide, retail science and insights, and we're a media company. We look at 62 million households. We got first-party data, so you can generate value, scale, Monday-ready, UPC level. And the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to influence customer engagement with, fast and complex path to purchase. Understand customer needs and take actionable insights along the way, and also build long-term engagement with the customer. So basically, we're trying to find a way how we can drive brand to all our CPGs and clients and suppliers that we work with. So a little bit on the background on where we got from. I can only imagine Bernie Kroger. He started Kroger in Cincinnati. And, he had I can imagine that he had a personal relationship with all the regular customers, need their particular requirement and personalize and meet their requirements. But in 1950s is when we had a supermarket chain and the growth on that side. And we did what we could do with the personalization aspect. In 2000, we actually started, we worked on personalizing on every single front of our customer. If you actually look at the person who actually coined the word, data as new oil, was the founder of 8451 before we merged with Kroger. So when you think in that terms, this has been a journey that we worked on for a while. And like oil, right? Data is valuable, but in refined state is not, if it's not of a good quality, it cannot be trusted and cannot really be used. So this just shows the foundation that we built upon. But the challenge we have now is slightly different. We've got 17, full customer fulfillment centers, all automated. They actually go and do the picking in automated fashion. And in this scenario, there is no human intervention anymore. Think about having a data that's machine ready completely, and then make sure there's like an example we can provide is when we actually have data coming in, the way picking is going on, the delivery is going on, the supply chain, the way that is actually ordered, all of the storefront, everything has to be in place when something like this to happen. And the fact we can think about 80% of organizations seeking to scale digital business actually fail because they don't take the modern approach of data analytics governance. And that is a part that we actually worked on, and we'll be talking more about this. The thing I want to share is, last year we were supposed to present, but we were not able to for some legal issues. But at that time, we were going to say more about what is Unity and all of that, how we can implement Unity. But I think we are a little bit further along on that. Today, we'll be talking more about the lessons learned and challenges that we faced. But this session is slightly different. If you feel you have an urge to ask any question on the architecture and setup, please ask. You can interrupt me anytime. If it's something that takes a longer time to explain, we can wait till the end. But please feel free to interrupt. Now, let's talk about our journey. First is always, know the why. You probably heard the statement, right? Any path to success is yes, no, straight line, and the goal, right? So when you think in that terms, we really need to focus all our work on making sure we actually are getting the business value. That's the key part that we need to deliver. Few things that we can think about areas is, whenever we're looking at our journey, there are always going to be two areas of work, right? When you look at a Unity that we are looking at on how we can looking at govern our environment, it's almost like a small car. Are we looking to deliver make the car work to get our destination? Or are we going to say, oh, there is another fabric coming, or there is one leg coming, or something, and just look at all the new shiny tools, right? So that is the part is, from our journey, what we looked at is, there could always be something shinier and brighter, but let's at least make sure what we have is in place is working. And the way we're working is got two fronts. One is to make sure, are we governing properly? Do we have a data product mindset? Can we discover all our data correctly? And the way we're using that is through audacious. Audacious is our environment to make sure we can discover and search all our data sets. And we'll be talking a little more about it anyway. Single pane of glass for all our data assets with Unity, Delta Share, federated queries. And then also make sure not just look at the data, but also look at our data pipelines. Can it be trusted? Can it be done from end to end seamlessly in more automated fashion? And of course, MLOps. Making sure our ML pipeline and AI pipeline are working properly, and also are we leveraging AI, driven experience and building that into our pipeline. Feel free to stop me anytime. Yep. So how are you going to simplify to unify? I know it might sound a little bit simple, but whenever we look at a POC or the use cases, they seem to work fine. But when you go to enterprise level, they might not quite meet it. But we had a use case. We actually had worked on, we also have pharmacy, PHI, PII data, our security and our data sharing governance and our responsible AI team. They didn't really approve us in putting data in our Hadoop platform, in our Google Cloud platform, or our Azure Databricks platform. They didn't allow us to do that because we were not able to have fine-grained access control. We didn't have centralized metadata and user management. We could not really audit properly. We also could not do user attributions to see, who's accessing what and things like that, data lineage, and also the secure data sharing and ability. So those are the areas that stopped us from doing it. So we actually were one of the few people who actually asked us to have something like a Unity catalog to do that. So it was not us alone. It was Gary and Steve and few others here. Seymour, I can see, and Todd Greensfield. They're all our product developers and product managers at Databricks. We were involved in this effort all the way from July 2021. And our use case with Health Data product went a lot faster than we expected. And similarly, on our Azure Databricks journey, we started in July 2019. And one of the first use cases we created was a collab cloud environment, and also having like a DIY kind of clean room environment. And we have few in the room who actually helped excel that work. And we were able to deliver both these products a lot sooner than we expected to. One example I can provide is, although we started in July, we were able to produce the system, collab cloud environment fairly quickly, which actually helped one of our clients to navigate all the COVID challenges that they got at that time. So we were able to find out, how the purchasing was taking place, looking for bulk, looking for more value products, and all of that we're actually able to leverage and to market accordingly So that was a big game changer for our team. But when you want to take an enterprise level, that's not the same case. So example we're trying to share here is, we were here, we thought that we made it, but when we started looking at the enterprise level, we suddenly started finding out we are actually not going fast enough. Instead, we're actually creating more challenges to what we're trying to do. An example is like, when you are driving a car, in a freeway, and there are no other cars around, of course it goes really fast. But think about the time when you have hundreds and thousands of cars all trying to go to the same place or different places, and there could be accident. Data does not, it's not when, if, right? So how are you going to navigate through that? So those are the challenges that we saw. You start with a small car, and we can try to make from one destination to another, right? Soon enough, what happens is, once you make that success, they'll say, how about we go off-roading? How about, we hitch a boat and go around it? How about, we really want to, pull out one of those containers in it, right? We do that with our data. We want to go fast. Once we make some success, we want to go faster and have more capability and all of that. And that is where we start to fail. So what we did is we actually took a proactive step. Let's take a step back. Let's really reflect on how we are actually going to proceed with this instead of just flying, So that's what we did. So I think this is probably was a good learning case for us. And you can see, right? Databricks and Unity Catalog has an amazing job in making sure all our data that we have is in one catalog, per region, and they can be defined on the way that we normally know, right? With schema and delta tables, volumes for unstructured data, views, modules, and methods, functions, all of them are there. So, and for us, in this area too, it really helped us. We actually were trying to get audacious for our data discovery and search capability. Until this was done, it was getting really tedious because the data was actually in file storage. Right? It's almost like someone's basement. They'll think about it. And then you're actually putting data in it. It's very hard to see what data is, how to extract it. Only the domain owners actually know the data. Trying to give access to that data to outside the domain was very coarse-grained. Either you give it all or none. And it is very hard to track and audit the activity taking place. So with Unity, we are able to progress very well with our audacious journey as well. So how did we do it, right? First part is we need to get alignment with our leadership. We need to have our leaders actually be champion for that so that we can actually progress the work. Second thing is we need to have clear accountability and ownership of our data sets. Organization data is also a way to catalog so that it can be searchable and all of that. We always have to keep track of our privacy, security, ethics requirements. We will able to discover our data assets. Within Unity, you always seen in Unity, you can do a search. That's very well done. Then we're also adding tags and metadata and as well as all the data relationship in audacious so that we can get the discovery done. We've done lots of data collaboration between us and Kroger. So when you talk in that terms is, Kroger is our parent company, and we've also got a lot of, like 17 other names. And we do have a need to make sure we are not copying data around, moving data around, like zero copy, zero ETL kind of format, and Delta Share has been able to do that for us. We have to have trust and quality. One of the things I'm not sure everyone might think quality and trust are synonymous. They're exactly quite not. Quality belongs to the data producers, and the way you can deliver the data quality and make sure it is by creating matrices so you can actually measure the stats on that. Whereas trust is something coming from the consumers. Can you trust the data to provide the data you need? So they are coming from two different areas. Then we came into looking into policies and standards and processes to do that. And last one is, of course, data literacy and AI literacy on how to make that journey complete. So what we're trying to do is, when a data is created, think about it, right? Data is created on the left-hand side, right? And then data is consumed on the right-hand side. And in between is the process of the journey that we're taking to make the process work. So when when the data is produced, you really do not know how the data is being consumed in the end. So the process we're trying to do is making sure that we are able to innovate on all the data assets that we have, and we can discover all the data assets so that we can use it within our teams, within our organization, throughout our organization, that means our parent company and all, across our suppliers and CPGs, customers, and also some data clean room activities. So now it's always about data problem, right? 20 years ago, we talked about big data. We talked about all the unstructured data, all the IoT data, not just relational data, right? So that, and this really helped us, get faster and easier decision making with all our data assets, like in Hadoop environment, boost productivity, quicker issue resolution, better understanding of the market. But it's also created challenges like siloed information, slow and noisy and irrelevant data, and also just the growth of the 5 V's, right? Volume, velocity, voracity, all the challenges with data. So when you really think about data problems are most like the factor to hamper our progress with AI and ML. And that is just, right? The world is just one big data problem, right? So then now we're talking about something different now. Now we've got all the synthetic data, and this growth is even more tremendous than others, right? Suddenly with the chat GPT, I think it already woke us all up. And we alone are also got a responsible AI team, and I think we're calling it the art of possible, and try to see how we can actually use AI and Gen AI capability to do a lot of things that we were not doing, right? We're looking at things like, how can we get, Ask 8451 for all the documents and materials that we have? How can we ask natural language process for the data that we have? How can we use for forecasting capabilities? How can we use in consumer research using synthetic data? And this is just going to grow more and more in the area that we're looking for. For the time? Okay. The other thing that we're looking at is, the challenge that with a lot of this that you've already seen is, we've already seen, getting Gen AI, getting chunking the data, getting inference and all of that. But the big thing is, how do we really get from that to actually get data from all the connected data assets, right? So this graph is a little bit tricky. What we're really showing here is data has a value that we all agree. And also, there is also cost of doing data. So this is the value of saying, suppose there's a value divided by cost, how it's going to progress. That's the blue line. And you can just see that, yeah, it is going to increase, but as the complexity and scale of the data increases, it can be a little bit more difficult to actually get value from all our data assets than it is. And that is the part that we're trying to show is how can we get value from data? How can we get business impact from data, like time to market, time to response, and all of that. So how can we get that process done with the data assets that we have? And the way we're doing that is, can I discover the data and can I access the data? Those are the two areas that we're looking at. Can I discover the data in Audacious, and can I use the data in Unity Catalog and all the platform that we have in place? If I could dream a dream, data would be like a utility, right? Data would be ubiquitous. What question was asked to me, like when you're doing Unity Catalog, is, can Unity Catalog help our POCs go 2 times faster? And thinking through, I feel the question is not just yes, but maybe we could do even faster. Like, think about it. How many of us can be more productive if we were able to access all the data that we need? That is trusted and able to use. How many would be more very effective if we have all the tools in our hand that we can use it, right? So that is this direction we're going is, how can we use the data assets, all our data assets, to produce what we're trying to do? So that is the direction we're looking at. Now, last one, I want to look at a little bit about data product mindset. So when you think about data product mindset, it's like a car or a TV or a phone. It should just work. There should be no need for someone to use the data. They need to recalibrate, reorganize the data. Data should just be able to be used by end users across the organization. That is the mindset that I feel it is very critical for us to do. This is not necessarily simple. It's almost like saying that a society grows great when an old person plants trees whose shade that they shall never sit in, right? So that's the kind of mindset that we are trying to see, that when the data is produced one time, one source of truth, please create it in such a way that it can be usable to the downstream users or the machine learning or the apps. So that is the mindset we're looking to do, so that we can treat the data, not just as a product, it's a trusted data so that we can elevate decisions. It's a pay forward mindset. And, and things we need for the data to be in that state will be, it's got to be quality, reliable, it can be trustable, it's got reputation built in, freshness, lineage, all the productionalities that we need to make sure the data is available and ready to be used by all the downstream applications. So that is the direction we're looking to get that done, right? And lastly, when you look at it, if you look at, First, here basically we got talking about just basically two tenants. Kroger tenant, or Cloud Tenant 1, let's say 84. Cloud Tenant 2 is Kroger. We are both on same region, East US 2. So I can see a lot of benefits of having an environment something like this, right? We, of course, need to have a, unified, federated governance and security, and all of them should be across the board. Then think about this particular box out here. What I'm trying to show here is Delta Share capability. And this is where I feel Databricks has really done a lot better than I can think of many other tools that's trying to do something similar to this. That is, when you are doing Delta Share, like from one tenant to another, if you are in the same region, if you are in the same cloud, there is hardly any performance impact whether we get the data from our internal tenant or from the cross tenant. It's almost negligible. And that's the amazing thing. And Databricks also not saying, well, we will only work if it's Databricks. That's a no. If you need to use it, we can even use if the target is not Databricks customer. They've got open source format, which will allow you to directly connect to Hadoop. I actually had a demo, but we will not have time for that today. So it can actually do all of that. Go to Hadoop, go to Power BI dashboard. We've also tried to go into, blob storage. You can do a lot of things with that data that's been present for you in the Delta Share capability. More importantly, you can also go ahead and have centralized secure all the data that's been shared to you. So all the data that's been shared from Kroger, we can access at 8451. We're able to fine-grain access policies on that data sets, right? The second part, if I were to look out here, will be something like this. Federate is also another really big deal, I feel, that Databricks is taking place. Recently purchase of, for the company name that creates, manages Iceberg. So you can just see, you probably heard about that, right? It's saying, stop arguing, Delta Lake format or Iceberg and all of that. Just make the data available for you, right? I think this is also a big game changer, saying, can you just access the data that is in Snowflake, the data in Postgres, SQL Server, Hadoop, and make it available for you to use in your environment, as any other source. You can actually create joins between all the data assets. From the end user perspective, you don't even know if you don't know the name, you don't even know the difference between the two data assets. And also, if you've got joins created, it can do predicate push downs to get all the aggregations done. So you need to move everything into net in the traffic. So that's a really big game changer, right? The other part after that is this section that we're looking at. Here, where we're looking at is all the data engineering capabilities that we have here, right? So what we're thinking in the data sharing and all the data connected data system is, suppose if you have one data set, one data producer and one data consumer, you put a network wire between one point to another. If you have 5 data sets and 5 consumers, you will have 25 connections between them. We're not even counting the fact how each of the producers are going to talk to each other or the consumers are going to talk to each other. think about the time when you got thousands of data producers and data assets in the data source and thousands of data consumers. That could be a little bit of a mess trying to maintain that. So that is the main difference between POC and a real production environment, where things should just work and it should be governed and secured and all of the things that we're trying to share. How can you make that happen in an environment like this? And I feel with the use of Unity for us, being able to govern all the environment and being able to access data in Audacious. The area that Audacious plays for us, which is slightly different, is we are really governing our data in our Unity so that it is only the person who's, we got to make fine-grained access. You can, we do have data democratization effort on data that is anonymized, that you can get insights on. But you still want to see what data is available for you to use so you can search and discover. That's where we're using Audacious for. Then we got to make sure you got unified data, AI. We've got a terminology called Gigabricks, meaning that we actually start to centralize and unify all our compute from Databricks to like a Megabricks and Gigabricks is a environment so you can manage and govern them more appropriately. You've also got, Unity Catalog, of course, and all the AI ML flow that we're looking to not just create features and ML ops, but also for feature registration and management and vector searches. Drive AI experience in the environment with Databricks IQ, and also create all the data dashboard, data apps, and all the monitoring capability, right? You cannot really, succeed if you really can measure, right? So that's where we're looking at, and just showing up in the end about how all of things are coming into picture. So I'm going to, next is, we actually got 7 presentations from 8451 this time. But here are 3 that I'm just listing out here. One of these, we got Cyclops. Other one is Data Asset Bundle. They've got 2 sessions on Thursday. And also Delta Live tables for our data integration pipelines. I'll give it to Kerry.
Thanks, Rashmi. Okay, so as I said, I'm the solution architect for Databricks. It's been working with Rashmi and team. And I just want to come back and talk about some of the new things. Rashmi's hit on a few of them already, some of the new things that they're doing with Unity Catalog. And, I'll just put this up here, right? These folks at 8451, Rashmi and team, there are several folks we work with at 8451, they have really embraced Unity Catalog. They've embraced data as an asset, right? That's really what they're focused on. And one of the things Rashmi didn't mention that I'd like to mention is the team that he's on kind of serves as the centralized standards team. So they develop standards for the organization. They decided to move forward with Unity Catalog, but there are hundreds of users, thousands maybe, across 8451 that need to actually bring their data into Unity Catalog. And the team that Rashmi's on has done a phenomenal job of creating assets for these other groups to help them understand the value UC delivers. They've created assets and all kinds of documentation on how to adopt UC. They have a monthly office hours that they're running now for Unity Catalog only. So they did a fantastic job of that in helping more folks in the organization understand data as an asset is really the direction that they want to go. I just put this chart up here because, when we talk about Unity Catalog, why? Why should we adopt Unity Catalog? Rashmi said this isn't something that's easy when you're adopting it into a brownfield environment. But this is the reason. There's so much functionality that gets delivered with Unity Catalog. And the folks at 8451, Rashmi and team saw this, right? So you'll see things there like, well, does it work with Databricks Assistant without Unity Catalog? There's actually an X, but it says degraded experience, right? So yeah, it does work, but it doesn't give you what you will get with Unity Catalog. So again, this is one of the reasons why the 8451 team said, we've got to get Unity Catalog in place. Now, Databricks IQ is something that Unity Catalog helps to build out, right? So this is our engine that understands the semantics of your data. How does it understand the context and the semantics of your data? Unity Catalog metadata. So because they're capturing all of that metadata, they're adding AI-generated comments to their tables, to their columns, all of that. That's all then fed to our engine under the covers that then helps them provide better intelligence and be able to use the data more readily. So they also have the ability to improve the productivity with better search and assistant answers. So like I said, Databricks Assistant can be used without Unity Catalog, but with UC, it provides that context, right? So when you use Databricks Assistant, you get the context and you get better answers to the questions that you're asking within the Databricks Assistant. It also allows them to democratize data. So Databricks IQ allows you to do things like write questions in natural language. We'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second too. But also maintaining governance and control with Unity Catalog. So that's all done with UC. Databricks Assistant 8451 is one of the largest users of Databricks Assistant. And again, this is something they've been using now for several months. They were an early user. They tend to adopt our technologies very early on. They participate in a lot of our private previews, and they provide a lot of guidance to our product teams. So Databricks Assistant is something they will continue to use. It does use Unity Catalog metadata, like I said, to provide more relevant answers. What you're going to see, I just took this, just to kind of throw up some information about Databricks Assistant if you aren't aware. We are moving to having Databricks Assistant available on all Databricks product pages. You'll see some of that in the keynotes. And then the ability to generate, explain, and fix code with natural language. This is something that 8451 is going to be using to basically expand their user base, right? So, they do have what are referred to as citizen data scientists, right? That don't necessarily know how to write a bunch of code, right? But they can use Databricks Assistant to get in and help them write and generate that code. And then they have the ability with Assistant to help them diagnose job failures as well and get specific help to answer questions that they have with their code. And that's something, just talking to some of the folks at 8451, one of the biggest uses that they have for Databricks Assistant. Rashmi mentioned this one, Lakehouse Federation. This is something they're already using and proving out in a couple different areas there. But this allows them to go ahead and have Unity Catalog basically govern all of their data sources, regardless of where that data is. So like Rashmi said, quit fighting about it, right? Just put it in Unity Catalog. It doesn't matter where it sits. You govern that data that may be coming from Azure SQL Server, for instance, or BigQuery. You govern that the same way that you govern your Delta tables within Unity Catalog. So Lakehouse Federation is something that is moving quickly at 8451. Data rooms, this is something that we haven't tackled yet at E451, but Rashmi and I were just talking a little while ago. He said we need to start doing some more POCs. So this will probably be the first one on the list that we'll get going here. And Databricks data rooms basically is a way to create an environment where business users can go in because of the metadata that's captured with Unity Catalog. We understand the semantics and the context of the data, but this gives you the ability to go in and also set up some rules to kind of define your business. The example I always think of is we define our calendar or our fiscal year as February through January, right? That's kind of a rule you can assign within a Databricks data room. And then a user, a non-technical user, can actually go in, write questions against the data, and get information immediately. They can have that data room create graphs for them. There's so much that can be done within a data room. And again, you're just using natural language to do it. So it is really geared towards that non-technical user. They also do, within data room, we generate suggestions, right? So we don't just throw somebody in there and say, go. We generate suggestions for them so they can go in and have some, specific queries that they might want to run to gather data from the data that they have inside of their data room. Clean rooms is another thing that we're going to be doing. They're going to be participating in the doing some work with the Azure Databricks Clean Rooms public preview. And this is something, what Rashmi said about Delta sharing. Delta sharing was foundational to the adoption of Unity Catalog at 8451 and Kroger, because they decided that was how they wanted to share data. They didn't want to copy data any longer. They didn't want to give people service principal access. They just wanted to be able to create shares and share that data amongst each other. So right now they're doing most of their data sharing internally between Kroger and 8451. They're going to be moving to sharing data externally. And to do that, they need more of a clean room solution. So they'll be moving forward with participating in that preview as well. And then from a generative AI standpoint, everything that they do within Unity Catalog, everything they create, their data sets, their models, their applications, that's all governed by Unity Catalog. So as they move down that path, and they are already moving down that path and doing some work with generative AI, all that, again, will be governed by Unity Catalog. And this, I just wanted to put this up here at the end. Rashmi went through this. I think the one thing I wanted to point out over here, the journey continues, right? We still have work to do. They still have data that they need to get inside of Unity Catalog, because a brownfield environment is not just turn on UC and go, right? There's work, there's design, architecture that has to be done prior. They've defined all of that. So now they will continue down the path, but they will also start adopting some of the newer functionality that's coming out with Unity Catalog. And that's what we have.